Timecutter MX4200, taking a look at it and find that the deck needs rebuilt. We're going to show you how to take off the deck, rebuild it, reinstall it, get everything back how it should be. First things first, if you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. The first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to lower the deck completely down. So if you push it up and then drop it down to the side. This kind of pulls out to the left-hand side if you're sitting in the operator station and drops down. That gives you more room to work underneath. Next, we'll go down here at the side that the chute's on. The chute's right here. And we'll find the pin for the front. Go ahead and remove it and keep the washer. And then the linkage just pushes straight out. Now that's free at the front. What we're trying to do is get the deck off. It's just hung on by a couple hangers. They just hang on to this bar. See one here, the far side, and one here. Basically, if we push towards the back of the mower, the deck's gonna tend to pop that way because it's got tension on the belt if your belt's still on here. I'm just gonna very slightly lift up on this side and push backwards. It comes right off. There it goes. See that it popped out. It's no longer hooked on this side. For the other side, exactly the same thing. One hook. So if we lift up and pull to the back, just kind of bounce, what I normally do, or you can hold the bar down. Now the deck is off of here. If we're looking at it from the top, you can see very well how it hooks on. That hook just goes right up over the bar. The final step to removing the deck is going to be removing the belt from the PTO. We're in the back, between the wheels, looking straight towards the deck. This is the PTO. We want to remove this belt, and it doesn't have any tension on it anymore. So you can just pull it, and it'll come straight off. You can move that deck back as far as you'd like. That'll help a lot. But there shouldn't be any more tension on there. That deck's free. Now that it's free, you can go ahead and push the height adjuster back up. That'll get that bar out of the way for us. So now we can just slide it straight on out. Now that we have this out, you can see this is all accessible on this mower, but the only reason that is the case is because there's two covers that are missing. One is supposed to be here, and one is supposed to be on this side. If you have those plastic covers still installed, you can remove those. It's 5/16 or 8mm bolts that go down through that hold it on. After you've got that off, you can take the belt off. There's nothing else holding it on. And those are just safety guards. If it was a manual PTO, it would be an issue without them being on there to operate, because when the belt gets loose, it will not stay on. It'll flop off. I bet you can guess why we did estimated why we estimated bearings and, well, spindles and idlers on this. First, we'll want to remove the top nut. Pulley comes straight up and off. There's nothing else on there besides the nut and the pulley. That's a 15/16 is what size that is. And then we need a 1/2 inch to get the bolts out of the spindle itself. I'm not worried about the blade or anything. It's all connected currently. watch yourself as you take that last one out. It'll fall right on your foot. A lot of times those will actually break off. Didn't this time. Spindle and blade is completely free. The other one does not come with, the replacement spindles do not come with new bolts for the bottom to hold the blade on, so you will have to reuse the ones that were on it. This spindle assembly we use is from Rotary, and it comes with the shaft through. The one Toro sells just comes with everything here. It does not come with the shaft or anything that goes back through. And these are a lot cheaper, just as good of a quality in my opinion. A lot of these parts on these machines are not made by the manufacturer. New blade goes on the same way you took the other one off. There's only one more issue that we have to solve here real quick, and that is that these were not threaded from the factory or threaded from anywhere. So we have to fix that. Again, I'll put part numbers for these blades, spindles, idlers, the belt, and these self-tapping screws in the description. So these have a taper on the end that'll run right down in there and tap themselves. Otherwise, you can also use an actual tap and run it down in there to create threads. That's a 5/16 18. I'll put that in the description also. If you're doing them like this, if you just make sure that you're holding, and if the end of your socket is parallel with the end of this, as you start, it'll thread perfectly. Good threads. That one's probably pretty hot by now anyway. Got everything threaded out. I just like to lightly tap the side. Get all that extra aluminum out, and then back on it goes. We do not have the pulley on yet, so that blade could still fall out if you're not keeping attention on this middle shaft as you're trying to do this. Start one pretty good. So some of those I didn't thread all the way down in. Looks like I missed the last little bit of threads on them. They're all threaded now. Pulley goes back on. Nut on top, same one we just took off. See what kind of difference we got in this one versus the last one. I always like to hit the end. It's just something I was taught with electric motors, that it frees up the bearings as things tighten down together. On to the next one. Rough on the hands. Now it's spinning the blade. Ooh, this blade's detached. This is going to be fun. Basically what I'm going to try to do on the bottom side is I'm going to try to see if I can't get around this ledge and hold this from spinning, because this pulley's loose and it's just spinning on the shaft. There it goes. That's what they usually do, is just break off. I was very surprised when all four of the last ones came out like that. 3 out of those 4 broke off. That's why you always want to use new bolts, just in case you ever want to rebuild the spindles. Get all this stuff cleaned off real quick before we start putting anything else on. One thing I wanted to mention about the deck and the blades and everything in general, these decks are pretty solid. You don't see a lot of issues with them bending or anything. It's a pretty solid deck, but we still want to make sure. That's not good. Still want to make sure that the blades level each other, that they come to the same spot at the T. Now it almost looks like, yeah, that's good, okay. You just got to make sure that those are level, and we're going to scrape this deck and everything also. Just get it cleaned up before you get it back in there. Well, dropped it a couple times. These blades basically should be level with one another as you're spinning them at the bottom, right there at the tip. So the bottom of those tips should line up. We'll drop the deck height down back to the lowest setting, and then we'll move this deck all the way forward until they're lined up. You can see right here on the outside of this one, that side, it's far enough forward now. Do the same thing on the other side, just very slightly lift and pull forward. Then I'm going to drop it down so it's actually hanging on that bracket. Looks like my hanger bracket in the front is kind of holding me up. Not in a good position. There we go. They are all lined up. It is back where it should be in the hook on both sides, here and over there. Now we put our pin back in the front. Washer on first. Once you get this all figured out, if you're trying to level the deck, you'll want to look at the left-hand side here, right in front of the left rear tire. There'll be a nut here and an adjuster here. You'll need a 1/2-inch deep well socket. If you loosen the nut on this one, that will allow you to adjust the deck height here. You can see it going up as I'm tightening it down. Look at the bottom, measure everything up, make sure it's right. That's perfect for me. And if you need to go down, you can loosen it, let it drop down, and then tighten it. This is what keeps it in the location it's supposed to be. Is this carriage bolt right here. We're level side to side now. We'll take a look at front to back. You'll just need a 3/4 inch deep well socket for that. To level front to back, you'll just take a look right here. Now you want the front about 1/8 of an inch lower, just slightly lower than the rear so you don't cut twice. This, you will just go clockwise in order to raise the front of the deck, and you'll go counterclockwise to lower the front of the deck. This one doesn't need done, but that's all you do is turn that one screw. There's nothing else to it that locks it in. I like to get the belt routing done now. And I don't like putting the belt on at the PTO like we took it off and back. So I'm actually gonna take this pulley, or this belt off of this pulley, and I'm gonna put the belt on at the PTO and back. So I have it on at the PTO and back. That was where we originally took the belt off when we put everything back together. Everything else is on the pulleys where it should be, all the way around. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to kind of pull it towards this edge. And as I go, I'm going to hold it in, and that's going to give me tension. That belt is now installed just like it should be, and it's under tension. Make sure everything spins freely. It's not going to spin super free, but it should spin if you grab a hold of it. Besides the mass amount of smoke that came out when I first started this thing up, everything seems to be in good working order. I'm going to pull it outside, see what's going on. The oil level's fine. Don't know about that. Deck is in good shape though. Sounds great. When you're diagnosing these, if you're getting a bunch of noise out of an idler like that, don't think that that's going to last for years and years. It may last you a year, but if it doesn't, it's going to fail and ruin the belt and everything else. If your belt's already bad, hey, take a chance, right? No big deal. These were in horrible shape. If you're spinning them and you're getting all that noise, or you can move the blade up and down or rock it back and forth or anything like that, there's play here. You don't want that on a high-speed moving object that's cutting around your kids and your pets and yourself. You just don't want that to happen. You want everything tight with your spindles and your blades. Eventually, when that bearing locks up, that's what happens, and then the whole thing starts to move. Instead of being straight up and down, one side's like this or the other, and it just kind of walks around like this. It can hit a piece of metal on the edge of the blade, something can fly off. Very dangerous. This is taken care of now. Hopefully I helped someone out in this process. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.